Hey everyone! Today I'm going to be altering some clothes to update my wardrobe to look more like the trendy hoe that I long to be, and the first little number is this pair of shorts that I got on sale at Urban Outfitters a while back. I really like these shorts already. They're high-waisted, check, and black, check, but I feel like the cuffed hem makes them a little bulky on the bottom and they end up not sitting exactly right on my body. So I decided to shorten them just a tad and distress the ends for an edgier look. First I had to rip the seams on the cuffs because they were sewn together on the sides. Then I tried them on to determine where I wanted the new raw hem to be. I cut about 3 inches off, leaving some extra length because the distressing will ultimately make them a bit shorter, especially once they're washed. After one pant leg was cut, I folded the shorts over to ensure that the other leg would be even. Then I took a handy-dandy razor blade and went to work on the raw hem, using vertical strokes to cut notches in the fabric for a frayed effect, and also to create small holes in various spots. After throwing them in the wash to further loosen the threads, this is how they turned out. Next up is this cute tie-dye tank top that I thrifted. The main issue with this shirt is that it's a size bigger than I would normally wear, so the straps are a bit too long and the sides aren't form-fitting, making the bottom of the top kind of frumpy and ill-fitting. I tackled the straps first, seam ripping the existing stitching and re-sewing them about 2 inches further up. One strap went very smoothly, but when I did the second one, the sewing machine gave me all kinds of trouble, so I ended up hand-stitching it, which worked just as well. To fix the sad, saggy sack that was the bottom of this shirt, I decided to crop it. But I liked the little tie detail on the hem, so in order to keep it, I folded the bottom of the tank top over onto itself so that the hem was in the middle of the tank top where I wanted the new bottom to be, and pinned it in place. To secure the new hem, I sewed directly on top of the existing stitching and cut off the excess fabric. This is a super easy way to crop a shirt so that you don't have to do extra pinning and sewing to create a new hem if you want a clean, finished look. The final step was to try on the top and see how much I needed to take in on the sides. The fit was pretty decent around my armpits, but still not tight enough towards the bottom, so I drew a triangle shape on each side so that the bottom was wider than the top and sewed along the lines. I love how this top turned out. I think it flatters my body much better, and now it pairs with all of my high-waisted shorts, whereas before I didn't really have much I could wear it with. This next top was a bit of a struggle, and it's probably my least favorite to be honest, but I managed to get it done for the sake of this video, and I did try my best. I thrifted this shirt online, which is always a gamble, and this time the odds were not exactly in my favor. I liked the idea that this shirt was distressed, and I thought the graphic was cute, so I went for it. But once I looked at it in person, I realized just how many holes are in this top, and are frankly placed too close to my nipples for comfort. I also didn't like that the off-the-shoulder part had a finished hem instead of being torn. That feature, combined with the very obviously hand-cut holes that are a little too perfect, made the distressing not feel natural at all, and in my opinion made the shirt look a little cheesy. My solution was to cut off the top and bottom of the shirt where there were just too many holes to work with, and then add a lining fabric underneath to cover up the rest of the holes so that they aren't as obvious at first glance. To add the lining fabric, I first cut off the side seams to ensure that the shirt would lay as flat as possible, knowing that I would be sewing new side seams anyway to create a form-fitting tube top. Then I laid a piece of black fabric over the wrong side of the front of the shirt, lining up the edges on each side. I sewed the two pieces together, not worrying too much about the measurements at this point. Then I pinned the back piece of the shirt to the front with a lining, right sides of the fabric together, and sewed them, following markings that I made earlier that were approximate measurements of where the new side seam should actually be. Once I had all the pieces back together, I tried on the top to see how the fit was. I determined the sides needed to come in a bit more all around, especially near my waist, so I drew a shape on each side similar to the one for the tank top and sewed along the line. Then all that was left was to trim the strings and any excess fabric and clean up the top and bottom edges of the tube top. I didn't do a finished hem, and I actually don't know why, because there are a couple holes along the edge that make it look super jank, but for some ungodly reason I just left it that way, so you guys will just have to bear with me. Maybe at some point I'll alter it again in the future, or it'll just sit in my drawer to never be worn again for the next 3 years until the next time I inevitably try to go through my clothes and donate them but decide not to because I'm secretly a hoarder and can't get rid of things to save my life even though it would make someone else's life better. So, I'm definitely the least proud of how this one turned out, so I may have overcompensated a bit with the outfit. I look like the love child of a punk rocker and an early 2000s Barbie doll, but honestly, I was feeling myself during this clip anyway. Last on the chopping block is this t-shirt from a fucking fantastic band that I got at a concert a few years ago. The shirt already has a pretty cool design, but the combination of the color scheme and the font give off a certain Scooby-Doo energy that I'm not sure if I want to emulate. I wanted to personalize the shirt to make it feel more like my style, so I planned to crop it and change up the colors. The cropping is pretty self-explanatory. I just tried on the shirt and decided where I wanted it to land on my stomach, then cut off the excess. I didn't cut off enough the first time, so I went back and cut off a few more inches. It's always better to start with a longer hem because you can always go shorter if you want, but you can't add length back on. I left the hem raw because cotton t-shirts roll up nicely once they're washed, and I wanted this top to be a bit cooler and unfinished. Next, I bought some fabric paint and brushes online to paint over the letters. I'm not a huge fan of yellow, but I like the green, so I thought black would be a cool contrasting color and it would suit my taste a lot better. I placed a piece of cardboard under the top layer of the shirt so that the paint wouldn't soak through to the back, and then I began painting. It took quite a long time to do, but it ended up being very therapeutic and a lot of fun. I think the joy I experienced working on this directly translated to how well the shirt turned out. It's by far my favorite piece out of the 4, and I appreciated the process of this particular clothing flip the most. I hope you guys found this informative, or at least enjoyed watching me wrestle with the sewing machine. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.